my name is Claudia Green and this is She Did That, the podcast shining a spotlight on remarkable women who are breaking barriers and proving that greatness knows no gender. From female founders who have raised millions of pounds, the investors changing the landscape as we know it, to survivors of tragedy who have achieved the amazing and many more. We will share the stories of these incredible women who will inspire and empower you. In order to support us and these women, please subscribe on your viewing or listening channel of choice so we can continue our mission of sharing the stories that should and need to be heard. Today I have actress, model and blogger Bryony Moss, who has very, very bravely opened up about hidden disabilities and how she has navigated her life to overcome her adversities and make them into successes. I'm really, really pleased to welcome Bryony. Bryony, thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited to have you.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Well, there's a lot to delve into.
Yes.
Why don't we start with a bit of a background about you? So where you grew up, your family.
So I was born in India and I was adopted at 3 months old by my now mum and dad, who were living in India at the time because my dad was out there working for work. And they adopted me when I was 3 months old, and then from there we moved to Malaysia for a bit and then back to the UK.
Oh wow, that's quite exotic.
Yes, it was.
You've had an exciting life. Have you been back to India ever since?
I haven't, but I want to go. It's like on my to-do list.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing though. Oh, I didn't realise that about you.
Yeah.
So that's a new fact. And how old were you kind of when you realised that something might be, I hate using the word wrong because it's not wrong.
Yeah.
But when you sort of started struggling with things.
Well, it's kind of like my teacher when I was in year 2, she kind of flagged it up to my mum and dad because I was there first. So they didn't know like, you know, milestones and things like that when things are meant to happen. And she could see that I wasn't like keeping up in class very well and I wasn't like the other children. So yeah, she kind of flagged it to my mum, and then we went for like GP appointments, and then that kind of turned to hospital appointments to see what was wrong. They first of all thought it was my legs, and then I had a scan on my brain and I found out that I had cerebral palsy, right hemiplegia. So that means that my right side of my body is weaker, and I find things like balance hard, and I also have learning difficulties as well. So that was quite a big thing I had to go through, but I didn't necessarily understand why I was doing it and what it was for. I thought it was normal to go to hospital appointments, but I then realised as I grew up it wasn't actually that normal.
No, and that must have been quite difficult at such a young age as well, having to like get your head around the fact that maybe you were slightly different from the other kids at school. So your official diagnosis was cerebral palsy?
Yeah, my official diagnosis.
And a lot of people don't know much about cerebral palsy.
No.
How does one, are you just born with it?
So there's like different types depending on, well, it's namely left and right, but then there's different types of the brain that can be damaged. Mine is scattered, so it's called leukocalamia or something. I can't say it properly, sorry. But it can happen before birth, during birth, or straight after birth. And quite a few of my friends that have had it happen to them, not when they were being born, like the cord got strangled them, so that sort of thing. With me, we don't know how I got mine because I'm adopted, and they don't know any medical history of my birth family or anything like that.
Yeah. Was it quite a long process getting diagnosed? Because I know you've since been diagnosed with other things.
Yeah. For me, it seemed quite a long time to get it diagnosed. I mean, there were, how could they help me at school, getting support from school, making sure school understood, making sure I had things like speech therapy, things like that. So it was like hard. And I think through education especially, there's a lot of milestones you have to go through that you wouldn't necessarily think of that you'd have to go through if you were more like the others in your class.
Yeah. Was that quite difficult then once you'd realised that you had to do all these hospital appointments and other people weren't having to?
And it was quite difficult, like, explaining to my peers.
Yeah,
quite a few people decided not to be friends with me anymore. Other people, like, I couldn't go to their parties because I had to go to a hospital appointment or things like that. So I was kind of like missing out on things. So things like socialising was quite difficult.
Yeah. Children can be so cruel, can't they? Because you think, why would someone not decide not to be your friend? Because because there's something different about you. And then you've kind of explained, because you've got a documentary as well, don't you? Yes. So in that documentary, you said that you went through bullying. Yes. What sort of age did the bullying actually start?
Like year 2, so I think you're about
like 6
or 7.
Yeah.
That carried on straight to the age of 16.
16?
Yeah, college, things like that. That it had a massive toll on my mental health. At the age of 14, I was diagnosed with PTSD from the bullying I was experiencing, anxiety, depression, hallucinations, things like that. It's kind
scary.
of the doctor said it's kind of my way of dealing with what was going on.
Yeah.
Because I found it quite hard to, like, vocalise to people.
That's understandable though.
Yeah.
And when you say bullying, like what sort of bullying?
Physical bullying. There was this one time, this girl in my class, and she was bullying me. So I said to the teacher, I need to go use the bathroom. So I went to go use the bathroom, and as I was going into the bathroom, 3 boys attacked me and pinned me against the wall, and she already knew. She had set this up because she said, so-and-so have told us that you'd be doing this right now. And that happened. My mum and dad tried to go to, well, especially my mum, tried to go to the school. They didn't really.
That's shocking.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. And the fact that it went on all the way through your childhood. Do you think your parents were tempted to take you out of school at some points, maybe even homeschool you?
Yeah, I think that was like a thing we were thinking about, and I'd say, oh, can I move school? But then the fear was, what if I moved school and it got worse at that school? I went horse riding with the RDA. I still do it now, which is Run for the Disabled. Yeah. That was like my safe space, and the one thing that made me feel I could be myself. I think the thing is that kids are kind of bored.
Yeah.
And then when they get older, they think they're being cool, and to fit in themselves so they don't get bullied. Peer pressure, I think that's a lot of to do with it as well.
Yeah, do you know what? I think kids that bully are a reflection of their parents and how they've been brought up. Yeah. It's like you don't get bad dogs, you get bad owners. Not comparing kids to dogs. But I genuinely believe, because obviously in a different way, but I was really badly bullied in primary school for about 5 years. It was unbelievably bad. So I understand completely the coming home crying and feeling hopeless. But now I'm an adult and I look back, I now see how broken those people were that were nasty to me, and that actually they had so many issues in their lives, and that actually they were acting out of misery. Yeah. Because a happy child doesn't behave like that to another child.
That's what I was thinking. Now I look back, especially now when I like see what they're up to now, and I'm like, what was going on in your life that you felt you had to do that to another person? Like, why didn't you reach out with your not problem, but your, get help for what you were dealing with, rather than internalise it and then taking it out on another person?
Yeah, but do you know what I've learned? When people are cool in school, they're usually like the least coolest when they're adults because they've peaked too early. So actually, we're just cooler adults now. So not such a bad thing. But yeah, I totally understand. Kids can be cruel, and I'm so sorry you had to go through that all the way through to the age of 16, which is absolutely insane because you are an adult. Well, not in the eyes of the law, but I certainly knew what I was doing at 14, 15. I think Yeah. if you're mistreating someone like that. Has anyone ever reached out to you to apologise?
No.
Not one person?
No.
So they're just terrible adults as well as children then?
Yeah. I mean, I thought they would apologise, but now I'm like, I don't really accept an apology. I'm not looking for it. There was a time when I was looking for it, like I really wanted it, but now I'm just like, okay, that happened. Let's try and make a negative into a positive.
Yeah, I agree. Do you know what? I ran into my childhood bully when I was about 18, and we had gone to a club, and by that point, you know, I looked much better at that point. You know, I didn't look as strange. You know, I had the one eyebrow and the short hair when I was younger. But at that point, I'd kind of like found myself a little bit more and grown into myself. And I remember I saw her first, and then she looked back at me and she looked terrified. And I'd never seen that from her before, because she'd put me through such hell. Yeah, because she's like she was like the ringleader at school. So she would get other people to join in with her. And a couple of those people had actually apologised to me since, but she'd never apologised. And I saw her and she was terrified. She got one of her friends to come over to me and say like, oh, she really wants to make up with you and apologise. I was like, no. And if she wants to come up and speak to me directly, she was bold enough to put me through hell for 5 years of my life. So I just think it's funny how these things come around. And yeah, I think my mum always sees her around and she gives her this horrendous look, and I'm like, leave it now, it's over. And my mum was like, when you're a mother, you'll understand how you feel about the person that bullied your child. You will never forgive them in any way.
Just see them as
No, because at the end of the day, it's your parents that have to deal with you coming home crying, and they have to
deal with the fallout.
And I know that you've obviously openly spoken about this, but at some point all your emotions sort of came to a head.
Yes.
And you went to a really dark place.
Yes.
And you attempted to take your own life.
Yeah.
How old were you?
14 on my first one. I still remember, actually, I was in counselling at school.
Yeah.
Because they just thought it might just be nice just to talk to someone. And that's when I opened up about thinking about it.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, we need to tell your mum. I was like, I can't tell her. Because I knew it would destroy her. I was like, I can't tell her. So they were like, okay, we'll tell her. So then I was speaking to my mum. My mum found out all about how I was feeling, how I was going to cope with it. And it kind of went up and down. And then... just one day I tried, and then it turned into a second attempt and a third attempt, and that's when at this point I was on the waiting list for CAMS, which is Children and Adolescents Mental Health Service, and that I think they're amazing, but the waiting list is crazy lengths, crazy lengths. The number of stories I've heard of people waiting on there but not being able to get treatment, and the saddest things happening. It's kind of scary. Yeah. And I think she found it scary because I can't even think what she must have felt like as a parent.
Probably quite helpless.
Because you can't do anything.
Well, and I think when your child is, and that's any age, whether they're a child or an adult, if they're feeling so hopeless in themselves, it's really hard to pull them out of that. Yeah. So,
because I didn't want to socialise. I just stayed in my bedroom most of the time. I couldn't even get out of bed sometimes. And
what was going through your head when you actually did make those attempts? What pushed you to actually...
I thought everyone around me would be better off without me, so I'd actually be doing them a favour. I didn't see a way out of it. I thought the best thing to do is to do this, and then everything will be okay.
But now, obviously, you see that there are people that love you immensely, it would destroy them losing you. And, you're a beautiful young woman with a career. And, thank God those attempts weren't successful. Yeah. Because that would have been horrendous for your family, truly. And so what was there sort of a point at which you had a breakthrough and you felt like you were receiving right sort of support?
when I started going through CAMS, like speaking to psychologists, getting on medication, I spent a bit of time in a psychiatric ward where we did like therapy and we talked about how we were feeling, and it was like a safe space. I made loads of friends there, which was really nice. Sadly lost some, but yeah, I think it's slow and it's difficult and it's tiring, very tiring.
Yeah.
But you just got to kind of always think in the back of your mind, you're worth it, sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And life is short.
Yeah, it
is. So I remember someone said to me once, I was going through a period where I felt very down, and I went to my GP, and he's fantastic. And I was saying, I feel really bad and I'm worried that I have depression.
Yeah.
I was like scared of having the depression because, you know, you hear all of these things. And he said, do you know what? If you can find 15 minutes of joy, just 15 minutes of joy in your day, then you've had a successful day. That's all. Just find 15 minutes. And that really struck me because I thought, I think I was aspiring to just be happy all the time and every day. And, you know, but life is hard and you get thrown so many different curveballs, and you are going to have days where you just can't. You want to stay in bed.
Especially now with like social media and like Instagram and influencers, because people tend to, most of the time, you know, talk about the good stuff. And
it's a snapshot of like
it's only a little bit of their whole entire life, but then people think, oh, why am I not like that? Why can't I be like that? When actually we're picking and choosing what we share with each other.
Oh, it's basically just happy snapshots of someone's life. And I definitely know that because I know a couple of influencers well. And they were, when you look at their Instagram, you think they're perfect. They're beautiful. They've got the perfect body. They've got the perfect partner.
Yep.
Like they're living the perfect life. Great clothes, but then when you get to know them, you think they've got these whole host of problems, and it's so far from perfect. And I think that's when I really realised, like, a lot of people aren't going to put the sad stuff on. They're not going to say, "Oh, I felt really shit today, so I'm feeling like crap." A lot of people won't do that.
I was speaking to a friend the other day, and we were just talking about like just in general what people post. And we were talking, I was saying like how people always seem to apologise if like a post is like sad.
Yeah.
Or like, sorry, I feel like this, guys. And then I'm like, but why are you apologising for feeling an emotion?
No, that's absolutely right.
Like, it doesn't have to be like 100% rainbows and butterflies and unicorns.
No, do you know what? I think there's still like, people are much better at talking about mental health, but there's still this stigma attached where people think, shall I post that?
Yeah.
I'm worried people are going to think X about me.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like, will I get a boyfriend if they think I've got this mental health condition? Like, there is still so much of a stigma around these things.
And I've had people like reach out to me and say, I want to be able to like share on social media how I'm feeling. But then I think people are just thinking that I want attention. And then I'm like, you've got to do it in the best way you can. I do it because I find it therapeutic, and it kind of grew from there. I just wanted to share my story. Yeah. And I say, what I kind of say to myself internally is, there are going to be people that see my stuff and think that.
Yeah.
Because different, you know, that's just society. But if it just helps one person, then I've done the job, and that's great. Even if it's just one person for like 5 seconds on a story.
Yeah, because I mean, it's interesting because a few years ago I was talking to my grandma about mental health, and she said, I suffer with anxiety. Yeah. My mum does. She did. And I said to her, like, did you get any help? And she said, but what help? You know, this is in the 50s. And she said, what help could I possibly get? And I said, I don't know. Did you ever even talk to anyone about it? And she said, don't you understand that back then you were written off in society if you had a mental health condition? Yeah. She said she had a cousin that was very open about their mental health problems, and they ended up having a lobotomy. Yeah, they never had a short-term memory ever again. And then actually, if it was in this day and age, they just would have been diagnosed with depression.
Yeah, it's scary to think how it's all just...
Like, it's evolved, and I'm really happy that people are. And there are people like you out there who are really, really open about it, because I'm sure you're helping more than one person by being so upfront about your problems. Because even if you think about when we were younger, social media wasn't, well, you're much younger than me. For me, social media wasn't really a thing. And I think for me, I felt really isolated, and like I was the only one going through it.
Yeah.
And there's that layer of loneliness, which if you knew that other people were going through the same thing, you might not have felt so desperate and strange in the situation. So I think it's incredible that you're really open about it, and you have your documentary, and obviously you blog as well, which is incredible. What does, in terms of like life now, because obviously you're adult, how old are you, 25?
Yes, I'm 25.
So you're a 25-year-old woman. How has your experiences in your childhood made you as a person now?
I would say it's been a journey.
Yeah.
It's still an ongoing journey. I'm starting to get my confidence back, but not caring what other people think so much.
Quite right.
Just showing people that actually you can achieve what you want to achieve, and that stereotypes aren't always what you think. And I've had quite a lot of people like watch soap operas or just things like that, and they think that's real life for that kind of person, and I'm like, just don't assume. I think you've got to be quite strong minded to be able to not let what other people think affect you as much as it could. Yeah. But I think it's just made me an overall stronger, and I think maybe also a little bit more empathetic towards others, kind of person. And through what I do with like talking about mental health and things like that, it's scary to think how many people can relate, and especially with children, because I'm finding that the age of children is getting younger and younger and younger. Yeah. Like young girls, they're not even teenagers, and they're worrying about like what they wear, how they look, the size of them, because they don't look like the perfect person. And then when you talk to them, they're like, oh, I'm 7. And I'm like, you're 7. Like, you should be like playing with Barbies and enjoying life, not standing on the scales going, am I too heavy?
That's insane that kids that young would even... I never thought about my weight when I was younger. Yeah. I wanted nice clothes, but that's like it's just like a girl thing. Yeah. Or a boy thing. But I think I never really thought to myself, like, what do I weigh? What does my body look like? Yeah. Or that didn't come until like teens. So you're right though. There are more and more and more children.
I'm like, wow.
And I saw a documentary recently, and it said that the patients, it was sort of a mental health unit, and they said that their patients for eating disorders were just getting younger and younger and younger. I think that's so toxic, and there must be something, but it's very difficult because social media is like, it's a great thing and it's an evil thing at the same time. And this whole thing is spreading like wildfire of what perfect looks like, which is insane, right? Because one person's opinion of perfect or beautiful can be unbelievably different from another person's. Some people love, if you're talking about men, some of them love really skinny girls, but another guy might say, oh, I don't like really skinny girls, I like curvy women. Yeah. So it's insane to think that we sort of try and live up to this non-existent expectation of us. And I think social media is responsible for that. And I think it's really sad that kids are suffering now. And it's painful. I do know what you mean though, like when you say it makes you a more empathetic person. I think when you've experienced that level of pain and sadness, you don't want anyone else to feel like that. Yeah.
I mean, through like doing modelling and stuff, I've had people say to me, why are you doing modelling? Because, the magazine covers, they're like touching all the girls up and touching this and changing that. And I'm like, I haven't actually done any that. I've been like proper touch-ups, and that's kind of what I say to people. Like, I did a shoot with Rankin not that long ago, and he was like, would you like touch-ups done? And I said no, and he's like, okay. And then I had someone else go, when I said no, they're like, you're the first person that's told us no. And they're like, why? And I'm like, because it's okay to have a bit of belly or a bit of this or a bit of that. It's normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've had really good positive feedback from just not having touch-ups and people going, actually, yeah, that person might not actually look like that in real life.
Oh, you're really brave though. I mean, if I did a modelling shoot, not that anyone would ask me to do one, but if I did a modelling shoot and they offered me to touch it up, I'd be like, yeah, can you make me a bit more tanned?
Yeah.
Can you like put my belly down a bit, do my nose? It's tempting, but you know, I have friends who use these filtering apps for social media, and I said, but you know that like if someone asks you out on social media, like they're going to meet you in person and see what you look like. What's the point in using a filtering app? And they just say, oh, you know, it's like that validation. It makes you feel good in the moment when people are like, oh, you look beautiful, but it's not real life.
No.
And people are going to realise when they meet you that you don't look like that.
Yeah.
But I do think that's really brave. And I'd love to talk more about your career. So obviously you finished school. What age were you when you finished school?
I finished school at 16, then I went to college.
Yeah.
And then it took me a while to get onto a course because I was so ill through like my mental health and stuff. So eventually I got onto a performing arts course, and then I did that for 2 years. So I did level 2 and then level 3 year 1. And then through my time doing the college course, I managed to get myself an agent. So that's when I started like going for auditions and things like that. And then it kind of just grew from there, sort of thing. Yeah, so I've done loads of different things. I've done like short film. I've worked with BBC Bite Size.
Really?
Yeah. Done like modelling. I've done quite like campaigns. Yeah, so it's really like interesting. And I wasn't a very like academic kind of person. And it's kind of cool because when I'm meeting all these creative people, they're like, I was never academic. And I'm like, neither was I. So I'm like, because like there's me and then there's my sister. My sister's very academic and I'm very proud of what she's achieved. But like she's done, you know, school, sixth form, uni, work. Whereas I didn't do that. I didn't go to uni. So when I told people I didn't go to uni, people kind of looked at me weird like, what? You're not going to uni? And I was like, no.
I didn't go to university either. And at the time people were like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
I said, I'm going to go to work. I'm just going to dive right in. I actually got on a graduate scheme for my first job. So my friends were a bit like, wow, okay. You didn't even have to do the actual course. But it's about putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
Like being ballsy enough to apply and say, I actually think I'd be good at this job regardless. But I think we're definitely now more discovering that there are different routes. It's not just education, university. You're not stupid if you don't get good grades in school necessarily.
Your brain thinks different.
You're just different. And there are some creative geniuses out there who would have been terrible at school.
Yeah, like I remember I was terrible at maths at school. Absolutely
Me too.
terrible. I couldn't do maths to save my life. But my maths teacher, he was so kind. And he'd give us the paper and he'd go, okay, Bryony, do this maths paper. And I'd be looking at the numbers like, I don't know. And then I'd write down the number and he was like, okay, that's wrong. But then he'd ask me, how do you see this? And then I just told him and it all made sense in his head. It was just, I saw it differently.
Yes, exactly. You just see things different. Do you know, I knew something was wrong with my maths when I came out of the GCSE. I came out the calculator paper saying I didn't need the calculator. And then I came out the non-calculator paper saying could have really done with a calculator. And it was like the wrong way around. But do you know what? And I definitely experienced, like I had teachers at school that like they told me I'd amount to nothing.
Oh,
yeah. And that's a lot. And I was really lucky that I have parents who are like my cheerleaders and they always said, no, you're clever, you can do this, you're going to make it regardless.
Yeah.
But if I hadn't had that,
then I don't know if I ever would have got anywhere in life. And they kind of taught me that there are other routes to being successful in life.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you weren't good at school. And yeah, I just like you, I sort of just dove straight in there. And I actually think it gives you a little bit more of like an entrepreneurial spirit.
Yes.
When you don't go through university and you've had to learn the life skills by yourself. What I'm interested to know is how, because obviously you were going through a really rough period in your time mentally, and then you've joined a performing arts course. So like these are total opposites. You've gone from a really dark place where your self-worth is down the toilet. I think everyone's been in like a place where they understand that. But you've gone from there to then putting yourself out there, I think is something that most people wouldn't be able to do because it takes a lot of confidence to do performing arts.
So that's an interesting one. So when I was in hospital, they actually had drama therapy for us.
Really?
Yeah, drama therapy. And I thought, okay, I'll have to give this a go. And I absolutely loved it. And I was just like, wow, I want to do this. I want to do this at college. I want to do this. So my mum and dad were also a bit like, wow. Because when you're playing a different character, like, they were like, how can you do that? And I was like, because it's not me, but I'm able to use my emotions from my experiences. And somehow I found that really helped with my recovery and like accepting what had happened and accepting like, okay, this has happened, but I'm not going to let me hold it back. So yeah, to be honest, I was a bit like, how did I come from this to this? But
I think that takes a lot of mental strength because like you said, not letting it hold you back and also not letting you dwell on it, like not letting yourself dwell on it for the rest of your life. Like this horrible thing or this horrible period of time happened to me and it was really bad and dark and nearly didn't make it. But it's about coming out the other side and saying, okay, it happened. I got through it. I got out the other side. Am I going to spend the rest of my life feeling horrendous about what happened to me before? Or shall I attempt to draw a line under it to a certain extent? You never forget, but draw a line and actually turn these traumatic moments into something that I can actually really use for my own successes. And I think more people should know that when they're in that dark period of time.
I mean, it's interesting because, you know, like with social media and things like that, I've seen like what my people that have bullied me have like gone on to do, like
what they're doing. I'm really interested.
They're like, they've got jobs, they have kids, things like that. And I'm like, okay, you're getting on with your life. I'm not going to let you hold my life back now. It's been, and I think that's really helped me with like accepting it. I mean, some of the things people that bully me had to go through now is just crazy. Like, I got bullied for being disabled, and 2 of the people that bullied me have become disabled themselves.
Really?
Yeah. And like, I've had a couple of people that bully me and now they're in prison.
Oh, so
it's just completely, you know.
They're in prison now.
Yeah, just completely different.
I'd say that's probably where they belong, but...
Yeah, but it's just, you know, the funny thing is you never know what's going to happen to, let alone you, but anyone around you.
Yeah, I think that's key. And I definitely feel from you, like meeting your mum and everything, like you have an amazing support system. Yeah. And I think people that don't have an amazing support system have that more of a struggle. And it's about finding your people. Yeah. Because they can really, when you don't feel strong enough to hold yourself up, they're the ones that hold you up. And I think everyone should try and find their people.
Yeah, I mean, I had a very strong group of friends. Well, it was a small group of us and at school, and they helped me through the bullying. But they basically recently said, we don't want you in the group anymore.
Recently, as in now?
Yeah, like last year, like October time.
Why?
Just, they didn't believe, one of the girls had a story and they didn't believe my side of the story. So they kind of got me round to their house and said, right, that's it, you're kind of out, sort of thing. And I was in floods of tears. But then the other day I saw this quote and it was like, the people that bully you or hurt you, they're behind you, and the reason they're behind you is because they deserve to be behind you because they don't support you.
100%.
And I was like, that is just so true. Sometimes the people are behind you are meant to be behind you. And it's not that I don't still like them. They were still part of my journey and I still cherish those moments, but life moves on as well.
Yeah, I always leave the door wide open in my life. Always. And anyone who wants to walk out of it is absolutely free to do so.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep anyone there, and equally I don't want them around me if they're willing to walk. Like, you want solid relationships.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking to my mum about it the other day, and I said to her, Mum, they call me fake, and that really hurt because I'm like, I thought you knew me, but I was like, if someone thinks they can treat me like that, then they obviously don't have any respect for me, and I can't be dealing with that.
No.
And they might not like the new people in my life, which is totally fine.
Sounds a bit could be a bit of a jealousy thing.
Yeah, that's fine. But I'm not going to do what you tell me to do just because you don't like it.
Yeah. I think that's the right attitude. And I think, again, having a strong family unit helps you, because when people walk in and out of your lives, you've got those constant people who will be there for you no matter what. And that makes all the difference, because people are going to walk in and out of your life all through your life. Friends, there are friends that come and go. There are some that will stay forever. Yeah. Not many, but there are some that will stay forever. But I think, I think it's about like rolling with the punches in life and accepting that. So what does life look like for you now? Because obviously the things that you struggled with as a child in terms of your health.
Yep.
They're still there.
Yep.
What's life like now and the reality of your challenges?
I'm very lucky because I have a support worker who works for me 6 days a week. And so she's there to help me. So I don't have to do everything with my mum, as much as I love my mum. So I'm able to get independence, but she's like there to help me, to keep me safe, things like that. And without her, I wouldn't have been able to go to college and things like that. The people that, like the company she works for, they have like an office and all of the users get together and we can do activities and things like that. We even go like on like trips to like the trampoline park or something like that. And it's really nice because I've been able to socialise and make friends through that. So I think it's finding the people that are right for you at that time and letting them help you to grow, because the right people want to see you succeed and won't be jealous of it. They'll be proud to be part of it.
No, and I think they'll help you.
Yeah, and I think that's also like if something good was to happen to them, that they know that you do the exact same. Yeah.
It's about being genuinely happy for other successes, but then also being there at the down moments. So day to day, just in terms of your, because I think a lot of people don't really understand like the realities of cerebral palsy. How does it affect you now, day to day?
See, that's a kind of a tricky question because I've like adapted my
way
of doing, because I kind of get it when people go to me like opening a bottle of water or stuff like that. Like, why'd you do it like that? And I was like, I've always done it like that. And then they're like, no, you do it like this. And I'm like, no, you don't. You do it like this.
As long as the cap comes off and you get a drink, it doesn't really matter.
But like when I'm out and about, I wear, I don't know if anyone's heard of it, but it's a sunflower lanyard. So it's a green lanyard with yellow sunflowers on. And it basically is there to represent that to people that you have a hidden disability. So you're disabled, but you can't see the disability. And that's basically, people wear that out and about. It's for charity as well, one organisation. And different organisations have kind of like joined the sunflower. So their staff, employers and things like that, they are aware that there are disabilities out there that aren't always like what you think a disability would look like. So like coming here, I wore it like on the train so people knew. I wear it like in the shops when I'm just going to buy like supermarket food, things like that. So I think it's finding aids, but also finding the right people to help you. And it can take a while. It can take a very long time. But when it works, it really helps you to like, it opens doors to things that you didn't think were going to open. And it's kind of weird because it can be like what able-bodied people could maybe see as normal.
Yeah, and I think that's, you know, a very big topic at the moment, hidden disabilities, because the perception years and years ago was, you know, you'd be in a wheelchair or you'd be able to see some visible evidence of a disability. But the truth is, like, I wouldn't know you had disabilities at all. Like when you're sitting here now, I wouldn't have no idea. And I think now it's definitely becoming, I think that comes with people being more open about stuff as well.
Yeah.
But where you could have hidden disabilities or chronic illnesses and no one would ever know. And I think there's good parts to that and then really negative parts to that as well, because then you don't get accounted for in the same way. So I think it's tough. You mentioned kind of with your walking and stuff. How is that now?
I can get tired very easily, and also I wear it because I can be quite slow. So like on checkouts, like when you go and you do it yourself, I can be slower than average. I mean, first time I went into a Lidl that just opened, I was in there, I was doing my food, and they literally thought I was shoplifting. I was being that slow.
Oh my God.
And I was like,
I hate those self-checkouts though.
No, I've got my receipt, it's okay. And now they know me, I go there all the time, and they're like, okay, it's Bryony, it's fine. But I think it's just letting other people be aware that you might just like need a bit more time.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think you'd get offended if someone offered to help you?
I'd rather they asked me than just stared at me and was like, what on earth is she doing? So whenever people like, I would like it more if someone asked me or like asked me a question rather than like stare at me and go and not say anything.
Or lose their temper with you for being really slow.
Yeah.
That's a good point, because that would be horrific as well. So what are your long-term career goals? Because obviously you've done so much already. I know that you're a really ambitious woman. What are there specific things that you'd love to achieve or do or participate in?
Well, I'd definitely like to do like more acting for like TV, film, but I'd also love to get into like more modelling as well. Yeah, that would be brilliant. And like doing public speaking, so like talking about hidden disability and other types of disabilities and mental health. Just kind of grow that and see where it like takes me.
To the Oscars, maybe. That would be nice.
Yeah.
Is the modelling part really hard? Because the thought of modelling to me sounds absolutely petrifying.
Well, that's like the interesting thing, because before, like not that long ago, there wasn't much like diversity in modelling, but now there's like agencies out there that like specialise in like people with disabilities or conditions, or they just want to be more diverse. And I feel that that's being really pushed at the moment. And having worked on like some shoots, I've been like, wow, I absolutely love this. Like it's nice. It's different from acting, but it's a nice kind of different. I like them both. So I'm like, if I could do both of them, that would be like cherry on top of the cake sort of thing.
Yeah. It's incredible because like it sounds like you've evolved from being, you know, a child in a really dark place struggling with life to like this amazingly confident, assured woman. And I think that's an incredible transition to go through. And I think that also would inspire a lot of other people as well, who might not feel like, how do you get from A to D, for example? I'll never make it doing that. But it is about persistence, self-belief. And you have to believe in yourself.
I was saying to someone I know the other day, actually, they're like, wow, you do all these cool things. And I was like, if you told like my younger self at the age of 14 you'd be doing all this, I would have just laughed at you and no way.
Yeah.
No way. So, yeah. But I think anyone can achieve their dreams. But the most important thing is that you believe in yourself.
Yeah, and I think that's the key thing, because do you think you would have been able to accomplish all of this had you not got to a point where you really felt like, yeah, I can do this, and you had some self-belief?
Without self-belief, I don't think I would have like done any of this.
No.
And I think a lot of it, you can have as many people as you want supporting you.
Yeah.
But if you don't believe in yourself, you've got to be your own like champion.
Yeah. Got to cheerlead for yourself.
Yeah.
Which I know people find really difficult. It's hard to be
Yeah.
like your own hype woman.
Yeah.
Because people are so easily self-critical, but they're not that great at saying, actually, I'm great at this and I do really well at that. I think it's a definite kind of skill, and it does take time, like you said, to develop that confidence over time. What advice would you give to someone who's maybe in the position you were in when you were 14, from where you are now? If you could speak to that person or your 14-year-old self, what would you tell your 14-year-old self to try and get her out of that dark period?
Don't be afraid to ask for help. There are people and services out there that will help you.
Yeah.
And it will take a long time. And there'll be points where you feel like quitting. But it's just a bit of your story, and it might be one of the hardest things, but you're here for a reason. And there's no one like you.
Yeah.
That's like your superpower, and be proud of who you are. And you'll get there eventually. You will get there. And it doesn't matter if it takes you however long it takes you. There's no race.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
and no one has the perfect life.
No, definitely not. No, and like, I think that's also a key thing here, is that like, don't believe what you see online or when people describe a perfect life, because life is like, you know, it's a roller coaster. You're going to have your highs, you're going to have your really low lows. And it's about being able to equip yourself with the skills to navigate both the lows and the highs, because both come with their own set of challenges, honestly. And what would you tell, I guess, what would you tell other people on how you want to be treated? Because some people might not, I mean, not so much now, maybe when you were younger, the reason why your friends distanced themselves from you was maybe because they didn't actually know how to be around you. And I think that's also can be true now in adult life. There are definitely people with disabilities or hidden disabilities, and they lose friends because their friends don't know how to act around them or be there for them. And I've seen that firsthand myself. People lose friends upon being diagnosed with something, or, you know, something cropping up very suddenly in their lives, and they sort of melt away into the background because they don't know how to be there for them. How do you want to be treated?
Like anybody else. Remember that we're humans. We're not going to bite you. We're not going to eat you. We're not scary. We're more alike than you think. Like, talk to us. We might have like the same hobbies as you. We might hate the same stuff you hate. It's just that we've got a condition that makes us slightly different from other people.
Yeah.
And just be there like you would with any other kind of friend. Like, be there to listen to them, to support them, have fun with them, you know. Make those memories, enjoy. And just remember, just we're people too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think there's also the point at which people think, oh, what if I say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing? And they're so scared they're going to offend or act the wrong way that they then just distance themselves, which is much more hurtful.
I always say to people, if you've got a question and you think it's the most weirdest question ever, just ask me the question. I'd rather you ask me the question than have the awkward look on your face or be like, oh no, what's she doing? Or I don't understand. I'd rather you ask me, because what I found is when people ask me and I've told them, they're like, okay, I understand, that's fine now.
Exactly. It's better just to ask.
I'd rather people just ask, in my own opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's kind of your view of the world now? Because obviously you'd previously described that it was, like this dark, scary place to navigate. How about now?
I say there are times when it's hard and it does get me down, but I found a lot of, I'd say, friends through social media as well, different communities, the disabled community, people with mental health conditions. I've made some really good friends. I've actually learned that a lot of other people are going through similar things than I am, so I don't feel so alone as I did back then. Back then I felt I was the only one in the whole entire world, but then now when I talk to people, they're like, "Oh, we felt like that too," and I'm like, "Oh, we're great." Not as in like that's good, but like, yes, I'm not by myself on this one. Yeah, I think it's all about moderation on things. How long you spend on social media, how long you spend in real life, how long you spend on your phone.
Yeah,
I think it's all of those things in moderation.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems like you're quite a confident person. You've got quite a sunny outlook on life, and you're quite positive about the future, which is amazing. And you should be like that. Obviously, it's not always going to be like that.
Yeah.
You're going to have days where you don't feel like that. But I think the important thing is having that hope and that almost assurance that even if it's not okay now, it's going to be okay in the end. What do they say? If it's
Light at the end of the tunnel.
It'll be all right in the end. And if you're not all right, it's not the end.
Yeah. Yes.
I got there in the end. Name one thing that you would love to achieve in your life. And it can be as crazy, outlandish as you like, but one thing you think, I want to look back on my life and think I did X.
Oh, wow. That's a big question.
It's a big question,
That's a big question. Ooh. Probably get a modelling job with a well-known brand, fashion brand.
Like the face of...
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be pretty
or
cool.
Go on Vogue or something.
Oh, that would be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
that would definitely be a life
I'm just looking
moment.
over the top, really.
No, but I don't think that's over the top. Why not?
You never know. There's things that I never thought I'd achieve that I've achieved now. So you never know what you will achieve.
I think you should be on the cover of Vogue.
Yeah, if you're watching this, Vogue.
Definitely. I think something like Vogue, it's one of those iconic magazines, and you grow up with it and you think, wow.
Yeah, it's like the one magazine I knew about since the beginning of magazines.
I'd rather have you on the front than someone I don't relate to in any way, looks how they think someone should look, even though it doesn't, I think that, well, you're a beautiful young woman anyway, so you'd be a great cover model. But
okay, I'll say I should be on Vogue. There we go.
Okay, fine.
I should be on Vogue.
I heard it here first. You're going on Vogue. Is there anything else that you would want, any advice you would want to impart on anyone? Or even, I've got an interesting one.
Oh, go on.
You obviously experienced a lot of bullying when you were younger.
Yep.
What advice would you give to parents raising their children how to be kinder to people? Because it's hard, it's hard to describe to or explain to a child, this is how you should behave at school. You can't control all of your child's actions. But I know that for the most part, parents want to bring up a good human being who treats other people with respect. They want their kid to be the one that includes the one left out. What advice would you give to them?
Before you do it, anything, think, would you want someone to do it to you? Would you want someone to call you that name? Would you want someone to kick you? Would you want someone to throw something at you? Just think, would I want to have this done to me? And if the answer is no, then 99% of the time is another person's not going to want to have it done either.
Yeah, absolutely.
Said or words or actions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just be kinder and actually ask questions, acknowledge people, say hello, and just think, do I want that or would I want that to happen to me?
And it's okay to be different, because sometimes that becomes your complete superpower.
Yeah. And then also think, do I want that to happen to my best mate, to my sibling, things like that. Yeah, and I think there's not enough celebration of difference. And it's good to be different.
Yeah, I think
and it's okay to be different. And being different can definitely be your superpower.
Oh, definitely. And I wonder if any of the people who tormented you in your childhood might look at this now and think, wow, look at what she made of her life.
I might send it to them, actually.
I think you actually should.
Be quite fun.
I think you should, because you've come so far. If you look at where you were versus where you are now, you have genuinely fought tooth and nail. Like, that takes a lot of resilience and a lot of willpower to be able to get from there to here.
Yeah.
And you've experienced things most people haven't had to experience. You've lived things other people don't have to. But it's now you've got your head around things, and you've found the power and the success in using those things that you thought were your downfalls are actually not. They're actually your superpowers.
Yeah.
So I think they'd probably be eating their words right now. Maybe be a bit jealous.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, I think that you're going to go on to do incredible things and achieve great success.
Thank you.
And I think there should be more people out there like you that will speak openly and will just tell people what it's like living through hidden disabilities and how you can overcome these things as well.
Yep.
And make it your normal.
Yeah.
As well. But it's been so lovely having you. I'm so happy you reached out to me on social media. Your documentary, I'll put a link for it in the episode so that anybody can view it, because it's very moving and special. But keep doing what you're doing. Keep putting the word out there and educating people, because that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And just keep being epic.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bryony.
Thank you for having me.
My absolute pleasure.
I really enjoyed it.